What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we're going to check out the little bastard modified Randall RD1H by AMM Amplified. Let's do it! All right, hope you guys are doing great out there. Today, we're checking out the little bastard modified RDH1, Randall RDH1 by AMM Amplification. So Anthony at AMM Amplification actually reached out to me, asked me if I'd be interested in checking out his little bastard modified RD1H. He knew that I actually had the stock RD1H, as I had done a video on one for a while back, and he was interested to see how I thought the modded amp sounded versus my stock RD1H. So here they sit. I have them both on a switcher and we can switch back and forth a little bit. I'm mostly going to focus on his modified Randall in order to show you what that thing can do, but we'll compare a little bit of each and you guys can see for yourselves what this mod does. I can already tell you after playing through it for a couple of minutes, it sounds bigger. It's got a lot more of a low mid grunt to it, and there's a lot more and a lot nicer gain on tap. Now what I mean by that is the gain structure of the RD1H is a little bit dry, it's a little bit splotchy. It doesn't feel quite right under the right hand for me when compared to normal tube amps. This one feels like a liquid saturated, like 5150s type of saturation. It's really, really nice under the fingers, especially for somebody who can't play so well like myself. It makes the amp much easier, much more enjoyable to play. So there's also a lot more gain on tap. I have this right here at about 9 o'clock, and that's all the gain that I need with a boost out front. So it's got quite a bit of gain going. Now on the website, AMM describes this modification as adding a lot more gain to it. Check. It also describes the amp as giving a bigger difference on the TSS or the tone stack switch. So this is a 3-position switch. Each position obviously affects the tone pretty drastically. But on top of that, you have a single tone knob in order to further kind of adjust the tone, adjust the EQ. And the tone knob, and with this modification, the tone knob has a lot more sweep on top of the TSS switch, having much more of a difference between each position than the stock would. So the way that I have it dialed in right now, I've got the tone pretty high. I've got the tone stack switch in the middle, which is where I tend to like it on both amps the most. That's where it seems the most balanced to me. And I have my Deadweald Duality DX boosting it out front. It's a fun little amp to play, honestly. It definitely has more balls. The one that he sent me also has an upgraded output tube and an upgraded output transformer, which is an additional $125. The little bastard mod is $195. So if you guys are interested in hitting him up for that, those are the prices on those mods. I will actually be selling my RD1H. I kept it specifically for the purposes of shooting it out between this one. If any of you guys end up wanting to buy the RD1H off of me, we could actually, if you want these mods done, we could send it straight to him and have him do them for you. Just an option, throwing it out there. So anyways, I'm going to turn my boost off. We're going to set the gain really low. We're going to set the tone at noon, and we're going to put the tone stack switch all the way to the left. I'm going to do the same thing on the stock amp. All right, let's kick that gain up to about 10 o'clock. Modified. Stock. Okay, the stock sounds a lot more lifeless and not nearly as saturated. Let's bump that gain up to noon on both amps. We're on the stock. Modified. Oh, that's much nicer right off the bat. That saturation, it feels very much like a 5150, almost has the cocked wah mid thing going on. The bass feels a little bit more responsive on the modded one too. On the stock one, it feels a little bit stiff. It's also a lot more farty on the stock one, whereas the Little Bastard modified one is definitely tighter and punchier with the volume turned up this high. Okay, so let's turn that tone up to about 9 o'clock on each of these. Again, that's with no boost out front. This amp sounds nice and tight without a boost in front of it. It's actually really pleasant sounding like this, so stock. Okay, so the stock amp has a little bit more of a rounder mid, definitely less bass, less saturation, and overall just doesn't seem quite as clear. Okay, let's turn that tone up just a little bit more on both. So there you have it. The stock seems a little bit more open, has a lot less balls and a lot less saturation. The AMM amplified, Little Bastard modified one definitely has a lot more compression, a lot more saturation in the gain, but also has a lot more balls. What happens if I turn the gain back? Okay, so yeah, still the same thing. It's still more compressed, more saturated, more lows going on, but a big dip in the low mids, it seems. Okay, so let's kick it over to the middle setting on the TSS switch. Tones back at noon. On the stock. The modified one seems to be a little bit brighter, has a little bit more like harmonics going on and more saturation. Let's turn that gain up just a little bit. Turn that tone up to 1 o'clock. We're gonna leave the gain here on the stock one and match the tone. We're on the modified. Stock amp. So the stock amp, again, it has a little bit more mid content, not as much lows, not nearly as much saturation. The gain isn't as pleasant to my ears. It's got kind of like a weird stringy quality going on. It just doesn't sound quite right. Whereas the modified one has like a nice compressed, saturated 5150 thing going on. It sounds really good to me, honestly. All right, so finally, let's take it over to the last tone switch setting on each amp. Oh, that's like straight recto beef right there. So that's the modified one. Here's the stock. I noticed the least amount of difference here with the tone switch, with this tone stack switch setting. Oh, that's very reminiscent of like a modern mode on a rectifier. That's pretty cool. So again, the stock amp is a lot more open in the mids. I kind of tend to like that portion of the stock amp a little bit better myself personally, just because I like the mids rounder and more open. But again, the whole modified little bastard amp sounds a lot nicer with the compression and the clarity that is added there. There's also a bigger sweep in the tone knob. I'm noticing there's a bigger difference in between the tone stack switch settings. God, that's a tongue twister. I screw it up every time I say it. Let's hear how both amps take a boost. All right, I'm using my tried and true MXR Badass Modified Overdrive. We've got the Deadweald Golem noise gate on, and the Badass Modified is in the loop of that pedal, so it's completely silent right now until I play. That's nice. It adds a nice little mid bump that the amp is sorely lacking, at least in this setting. We're gonna go back to the middle tone stack setting, and that already sounds really nice with that boost. All right, I'm having fun here. I'm playing at a low volume, by the way. This Peavey cabinet with the UK V30 sounds incredible with this amp. I imagine this thing would probably sound even better with a 212 cab where it's not trying so hard to push 4 speakers. But I'm an asshole and I like to do asshole things. So here we are putting a 1 watt head through a 4x12 cab. I'm having a lot of fun. This sounds great. I'm just gonna keep riffing around, playing with the settings a little bit. All right, guys, at this point, I'm just gonna riff all night on this thing. This is a lot of fun. Again, we're at low volumes in the room. You could definitely use this on a nice 1x12 as a little practice amp, or even as a nice recording solution. It definitely gives you that high gain tone thing. It's almost like a cross between a 5150 and a rectifier voicing, very liquid saturation. Sounds really nice. So I think he did a really good job on this. Again, I would like to have the mids opened up a little bit more for my personal taste. But again, a lot of people are probably gonna like that more compressed, darker sound. It sounds more modern, it sounds more brutal. And honestly, it fits the amp really well. So yeah, anyways, AMM Amplify, check them out online. Hit him up if you would like to have your Randall RD1H Lil Bastard modified, or buy mine and we'll send it to him and you can have him modify mine. That would be perfect. But anyways, thanks again for sending this to me, Anthony. I really appreciate it, man. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.